Chandler. Check, check. Jules?
What a beautiful day.
to be back at the center of New York, at the center of the world. Thank you for everybody for being with us today. Sarah Meyer, my partner, and I are thrilled to be back again among Broadway royalty to unveil the latest ad for MTA's Welcome Back campaign. You've seen it on the subways, you've seen it in social media. We keep it going. Thanks also to our partners at RPM who brought us here together today, the Broadway League, thank you, Charlotte, and the Times Square Alliance. Thank you to all of those partners for joining us. Transit historians among you, and I know there are a few, may remember the 1977 classic, The Only Sure Way to Make It to Broadway. The ad featured stars of the day like Melody Maitrot Libanati and Alan LaBeouf, both of whom are with us here today. She was Sandy in Grease, and Alan was Paul in Beatlemania. In the original photo, they were joined by the likes of Eartha Kitt, wow, Carol Channing, wow, Martin Balsam, Stephanie Mills, from shows like Hello Dolly and The Wiz. Now, 44 years later, we've recreated the ad with the stars of 2021's hottest Broadway shows, Waitress, Six, Moulin Rouge, Phantom of the Opera, Mrs. Doubtfire, Dear Evan Hansen, and Chicago. What a lineup. When the original ad was made, New York City was coming out of crisis. There were those who made the mistake of betting against New York. We know about all of you. The people who thought the city wouldn't be able to come back. It happened again after 9/11. It happened again after Sandy. I can bear personal witness, spending 14 years on the rebuilding the World Trade Center, that the folks who bet against downtown after 9/11 turned out to be wrong, and we're going to see that kind of rebound again. We're in a critical moment coming out of COVID, and once again, Broadway is part of the city's spirit and the city's resurgence, which is why it's the perfect time to reboot this historic ad. Just as in '77, the only sure way to get to Broadway is the subway. We had a lot of fun shooting this campaign. Take a look at this behind-the-scenes video. Hit it.
There are no people like show people. We show up.
This is 19th Street, heading down to the Express train. The next stop is Times Square, 42nd Street.
We give 110% every single time we're on stage. Every person in that audience has never seen the show before. And so that's our chance to get them, to entertain them, make them fall in love, to make them cry, and to make them feel all the feels. And you can only get that on Broadway.
The only sure way to get to Mrs. Doubtfire.
That's right.
The only sure way to make it to Dear Evan Hansen.
All right. The only sure way to make it to Waitress.
The only sure way to make it to Six.
The only sure way
to make it to the Phantom of the Opera.
The only sure way to make it to Chicago.
The only sure way to make it to Moulin Rouge.
The only
Sure way.
The only sure way
To make it to Broadway.
Thank you to everybody who participated in that incredibly fun shoot. Public transportation is always the best way to make it to the theater quickly and safely, whether you're riding the subway, the bus, Long Island Railroad, or Metro North. It's faster, safer, cheaper, and greener than taking a car. And our mass transit system is more accessible than ever. MTA customers buying theater tickets can get discounts, which Sarah will explain in a moment. And within our own transit system, we've extended off-peak fares for railroad customers through the end of the year, which can save riders up to 40% of the versus the normal price, depending on where they're traveling from. And then there are autumn weekend specials through November 21st. So give us a chance and take the train or bus to your first show back on Broadway. Now it's a thrill to turn it over to my partner, Chief Customer Officer Sarah Meyer. Sarah?
So welcome back, Broadway. So happy to be here. Are we ready to have some fun today? So I'm here to talk about discounts. Who doesn't love discounts? Haven't met a New Yorker that doesn't love discounts. So the subways, as we've been talking about, railroads are the surest way to get to Broadway. The surest way to save on tickets is by visiting mtaaway.com. Customers who purchase their tickets through our website can save on the following shows. Chicago, you can save $25 on tickets. Waitress, save up to $60 on select seats through December 23rd. Mrs. Doubtfire, you can grab tickets for as low as $49. And the Phantom of the Opera, orchestra tickets start at $49 for performances through February 2022. So let's ditch our cars, let's take public transit, save that parking money. Maybe you still sell snow caps. I love snow caps, Twizzlers. We can use that money on those. I don't know if candy is still acceptable in Broadway, but I love it. Really, really, really excited. You'll be coming back to a much improved MTA. We've done a lot of improvement during the pandemic, a lot of cleaning 24/7. As well as installed a bunch of new elevators. We've also speeded up the trains, and we're really excited to welcome you guys back. I'll just take a moment to remind everyone that the mask mandate in our trains and buses is still in effect. Please, please don't forget to bring your mask, but if you do, we have them available at every station booth and on select buses. So thank you for helping keeping New York moving, keeping New York safe, and keeping Broadway open. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to turn it over to RPM Managing Partner Nick Pramick.
Thank you, everybody. I just want to say what a rare and joyous opportunity it was to just bring all of these iconic Broadway musicals together, to work together, to celebrate our industry. Thank you, actors, for participating. I also want to thank RPM's Executive Creative Director, Stephen Tardik, Jacob Cooper, RPM's creative director, for bringing this image to life, the unmatched Broadway photographer, Matt Murphy, for capturing the image. And I just want to thank the MTA for partnering with us so we can shout from the rooftops that Broadway is back, it's thriving, it's better than ever, and there's no better time to see a Broadway show than this holiday season. And I'm going to turn it over to my friend, President of the Broadway League, Charlotte St. Martin.
We are so excited to be here, and you're all here to help us celebrate the fact that last week we welcomed our 1,000,000th theater goer since we opened in September. Yeah. And what's exciting about that is 58 to 60% of New Yorkers arrive to Broadway via the subway, and we can't thank them enough for bringing all of those visitors to see our phenomenal shows. Broadway has opened 27 shows, and by December 31st, we will have 38 of our 39 theaters full with Broadway shows. And that's such great news for all of us, and especially for these fabulous performers behind us. Broadway is responsible for 97,000 jobs in New York City. So besides giving all these jobs, we give nothing but pleasure and joy and emotion, and we're just so thrilled to be here with you and celebrating our return, because New York is not New York without Broadway, any more than it is without the MTA. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm Rob McClure. I play Mrs. Doubtfire, and Mrs. Doubtfire, this is Avery Sell. We are both hugely honored to be a part of this photo with those extraordinary people behind us, but we all know that we represent a very small part of what makes Broadway tick. Our faces in that photo represent the thousands and thousands and thousands of artists and technicians and creatives and crew members and dressers and prop masters and house managers and ushers who make these stories come alive on Broadway for audiences that come from around the world to see them, and it is a profound honor for all of us. And one of the great things about New York is when you do get on those subway cars, you know that you're surrounded by the people who make Broadway happen. We're sitting beside you on the train. We're all going to the same place in the same time. And we're riding the veins of this city and getting to these churches where people have performed for decades, and we're honored to be part of that legacy. And know that if you have faith in MTA and coming to Broadway, we are taking your safety very, very seriously. We're all tested all the time. The safety protocols at the theater are ensuring your safety and our safety. So be brave, come visit. And it's giving us back a lot of what we lost in the last 19 months, which is the collective humanity that live storytelling can provide. So come join us. We'll see you back on Broadway.
Hi everyone, I'm Melody Mitra Libanati. I am in this poster in the center in Greece, and it was pretty amazing having this. The person that thought up this campaign, I think, is just brilliant, and to bring it back is so fabulous. I run a professional theater company in New Canaan, Connecticut, as well as a performing arts school. This poster is up right in the center of the school. I tell everyone, the students, the adults, about the iconic people that were here, the Broadway people that are in this picture. So I'm so honored to have been in this, and now I want this poster to go right next to it. So congratulations to all of you, to the MTA, to Broadway coming back. And yes, I did take the MTA to Broadway, yes.
Hello everyone, I'm Alan LaBeouf from Beatlemania. What a wonderful clash of cultures it was, the bunch of rock and rollers to show up on Broadway and do a show like Beatlemania. And we had the brand new things like makeup. None of us had ever used any makeup before in our lives, and they didn't even give us a makeup artist. They just threw the makeup at us and said, have at it. And it took us, I don't know, 2-3 minutes to completely look like clowns. But they fixed us before showtime. It's a memory I'll never forget. And we just, thank you all for coming out today and for just supporting all these wonderful actors. And I'm completely in awe of all that they do and their patience dealing with COVID and everything. And I love you all. Thank you so much.
But a couple of points to underscore, which is the bounce back, right? Everyone's talking about how the MTA is at 50%. Well, let me just tell you, when in discretionary travel on the weekends and the nights, when people are coming to Broadway, when people are coming to the city, we're closer to 70%. So people are voting by coming back to see things they want to see. When the office is open, we'll get more travel in the peak hour, but in the meantime, it's Broadway, people are riding the MTA, New York is bouncing back, and what could be more iconic together than the MTA and Broadway? So with that, let me take a couple of on-topic questions, and then we'll let our fearless press corps have at me on other topics. On-topic? Ready? On-topic? Anything about Broadway? Broadway trivia. Questions about who is George Cohan? Anything. All right. Off.
Any of the press that wants to talk to the actors, we can do that off to the side if you want to get one-on-one.
All right, wait a second. You guys are, now they have to
Got it, thank you.
Let the games begin.
All right, folks. If we could just get set. Anybody's got off-topic questions, Jana Lieber's going to be available for that. Stars, so good to see you. Thank you. All right. How about let's hear it for Broadway, Clayton, huh? Yeah, Clayton. All right.
Man of culture.
That's it.
Man of culture, Clayton Goose.
Artistic Clayton Goose, everybody. All right, here we go. Your questions.
Who's up first?
How about Jose Martinez?
Who's up first?
Hi, Jano.
Who's up first? Okay, hi, Jose.
I see where you're going with that. Okay. So, on the infrastructure, chief needs that are going to be addressed by that. Keep hearing about the Second Avenue subway, which is, obviously already in progress to some degree. What are the ones that are going to be addressed by the bill and the ones that won't be? And what of projects like the one train extension to Red Hook or the Utica Avenue extension, projects that are sort of in the background, if you will?
Okay, so just to recap, so what the bill has in it for the MTA is, first of all, $3.5 billion. Remember, it's a 5-year bill. It's got $3.5 billion of additional federal funding, which is about a federal formula funding, Jose. So that's the significant uptick in that category, and that is money that we can use on a wide range of different projects, provided they follow federal rules. Then there are categories that we have to compete for, but which are really right in the MTA's wheelhouse. You have billions more for ADA accessibility, billions more for zero emissions buses, and then perhaps the most important one is the CIG program, which is the category that the US DOT uses to fund major projects and which will fund the Second Avenue subway, we hope and expect, has been doubled in size. So we're going to have to go in and compete in each of those categories, but that's about as good as it gets in terms of lining up with MTA priorities. There's also $24 billion in the so-called Fed-State Partnership Program that goes to the Northeast Corridor. So that's money that can be used for major projects like what we're doing in Metro North to Penn, like improving Penn Station, like Gateway, and so on and so on. So, while we don't know exactly what will be funded in every category, it's pretty likely the Second Avenue subway is going to be the first to benefit. Now, as for projects that you named, if they haven't been put into the MTA capital program yet, and they're still in the process of being evaluated, it would be premature to say that those projects are going to benefit. But when we get to the next capital program, we're in the middle of doing that 20-year needs assessment that everyone talks about. Those projects will be lined up, and we'll be able to use some of that federal money as well. Does that make sense? Okay. Clayton. Neither of them is working. Yeah. Sure. So premature to say where we end up, because you're right. Where we are right now is wherever we are right now, and there's still a little bit of allocation inside the state of New York that's ongoing. But Clayton, we have an opportunity because of the supplemental, the $2.2 billion that's discretionary, to hit the 10.5, which has always been our goal. And the reason we're optimistic about being able to do that is this is a program that was crafted specifically for a transit system that had been the hardest hit financially by COVID, and whose damages from COVID, the economic harm from COVID had not been addressed by the basic grants in ARPA and CRISA. So we think we're going to do well. We're putting our papers in for that supplemental money right away, and we are, we're not there yet by any means, but we believe we have a shot at hitting that 10.5, which was the goal all along.
You had another IG report come out yesterday about 3 more Long Island Railroad workers committing OT fraud. That follows the sentencing of the first indicted, or one of the first indicted Long Island Railroad workers in a similar scheme. What are you doing with the railroad to crack down on this kind of fraud, which appears to be endemic, or at least was endemic at the agency?
Well, I mean, remember, there's a little bit of time that's passed since this news started to come out. The basic thing we're doing is the Chronos clocks, where we are actually able, for the first time, to really, automatically check in on where people are. There's some exceptions, but the overwhelming number of Long Island Railroad employees now have to check in, have to swipe on Chronos clocks, which was not the way, the way in the past. We're also having, for people who have to work remotely, there's a much more developed check-in system than there was before. So the bottom line is, it hurts everybody. It's not just an outrage when people rip off the system, but it hurts everybody. It gives the workers, the honorable workers of the Long Island Railroad, a lot of whom are giving their heart and soul to try to rebuild railroad, accomplish major projects. It gives everybody a bad reputation. We're not going to put up with it, and we're going to continue to come down on it. I have said to the IG, bring it on. If you find anybody who is ripping off the public in this way, we're going to fight. We want you to bring these charges and really help us to attack the problem. But we think we're making a lot of progress.
Josh Hartman. There was an October 30th MTA bus accident where a bus ran over a manhole and bounced into the air. Do we know the extent of damage to the bus and any injuries of passengers or the driver?
No, honestly, I don't know the specifics on that. We can give that to you. But the bigger issue is, every New Yorker who's driven around knows street repaving, there are a lot of things going on, and sometimes you hit a serious pothole. This appears to be such a case. The DOT was repaving the street, and it looks like there was something imperfect about how the manhole was reapplied. I mean, we work closely with DOT. They're responsible for the streets. We're like any driver who's just driving along and hits a pothole. So we're going to keep working with DOT. I'll say this for DOT. Under this commissioner, Hank Gutman, they have done more to try to make the bus system work better in New York than ever before. Hank Gutman personally ordered the increase in the number of busways to be built, more traffic signal enforcement, those automatic cameras that catch people when they're blocking the bus lane. He has really been an advocate for faster, better bus service. I love having him as a partner, and we're going to keep working with DOT. Hi, Steve.
Double mics. Sorry if you already answered this, but back to the New Jersey, Connecticut funding thing. What I recall was at issue was the formula that was being used. So my question is, what formula did you end up using to allocate this money? And it looks like New Jersey didn't get $1 billion of what it wanted. Like, they lost $1 billion. Okay. So how did you get them to agree to that?
So here's the bottom line. We used a complicated formula called compromise formula, right? It's got a lot of different bells and whistles, but that's really what it comes down to. Our view was that the way that the bill was done said that this was a FEMA-like bill, system that should be allocated based strictly on need. They wanted to use the historic capital formulas. We compromise. That's the way it works in the real world when you have strongly held views. When you're looking at the numbers, though, it should be borne in mind there was a true compromise, and part of that was New Jersey acknowledged that they were getting somewhere between $300 and $400 million from the Philly area urban zone. The way the money is allocated is based on urban areas. They were getting a good chunk of money, and that played into how the compromise was reached, because they were comfortable in the end. Both sides got comfortable with the compromise. Anybody? Okay, thank you.